Alright, welcome ladies and gentlemen to the official one and only Smite Super Builds. Today I have a very much so requested updated build for VULCAN. Now first I want to quickly go through his abilities for the newer players to Smite and or to VULCAN. Now the first point I want to make about VULCAN is he's an all-in, all high magical power, high burst type mage, but he's also that guy that can't get out of a fight if he gets ganked and things like that. Now you can maybe call his backfire somewhat of an escape. I mean, it's kind of silly, not a real escape. So yeah, his main goal is to kill the enemy target or just kind of deter them away from him as long as possible before they can get to him. And also, next point I want to make is his Inferno Cannon. If you did not know this, if you read the tooltip in the bottom section here, this inherits Vulcan's penetration, but does not apply on hit effects. On hit effects pretty much means like items like Gem of Isolation. It will not proc that. Things like Spear of Magus, it does not work with that. So building penetration is definitely key for VULCAN, overall helping out your output damage and also increasing the damage your Inferno Cannon puts out. So really great. On the topic of he does a lot of damage or tries to kill the target before they kill him, cooldown reduction is probably really good to pick up for VULCAN. Now let's get right into building VULCAN. Now if you're playing VULCAN in Conquest, you definitely want to have a starter item, obviously. You can go with the Vampiric Shroud, looking for the Sustain. That is the most picked up starter item for mages, pretty traditional. Or if you want to spice it up a bit, and if you really want to go into this, you can go to the Soulstone starter item. The way this works is you set down your turret. Now the turret is going to keep hitting the minions. Now you throw 5 basic attacks. Of course they have to land on the minions. After 5 basic attacks, your next ability has an additional about plus 30 magical power to it. Yeah, plus 30 magical power to your next ability, and that next ability would be your backfire, hitting all the minions, and that's how you would pretty much clear lane with the Soulstone starter item. Outside of Conquest, starter items are not really that necessary. Now, once you decide your starter item, you definitely go into a tier 1 item. The way this works is, right out of the gate, you pick your starter item, you pick your tier 1 item, which in this case, it can be a lost artifact, and you're looking to finish this off into Chronos Pendant or Rod Hoodie later. Now, if you don't pick that item up as your tier 1 item, you can go into the Tiny Trinket and build this up into the Divine Ruin if you're laning against a healer or a high health regeneration god like Shagfamon or Hercules. If not, more than likely, it's probably going to be the Lost Artifact. Now, after you pick up your tier 1 item, you want to go into your boots. Since the Shoes of Magi have the 10 pin on it, these boots are really great for any and all mages. The cooldown boots, I feel, are only really used for healers or utility gods like Janos. But besides that, Shoes of Magi is definitely the way to go. Now, after you finish your boots, you have the option now, if you really want to, you can go back and finish your tier 1 item. In this case, the Lost Artifact building into Chronos Pendant. Now, if you don't care for the cooldown reduction route, this is the other route you can go. You can keep that there. You can go directly to your stacking item of choosing for Conquest or Siege, whatever game mode sees fit. You can go to the Book of Thoth stacking item, or we can go into the Warlock Sash looking for more HP. Now, doing it this way, you're going to get your stacking item finished quicker because you're not finishing up your tier 1 item. And then we can go directly to a penetration item. Obsidian Shard would be the best bet to go. And then at this point, cooldown reduction wouldn't make too much sense since it's pretty late in the game. And then you go back and finish your Rod to Hoodie. You look something like this for that type of build. Now let's just stick with the a lot more traditional route, which is just going into the Chronos Pendant. And then of course going into a stacking item if you're choosing, if you really want to. Let's just pick up Book of Thoth. Then you can go into Pen, and then you can go into the Rod to Hoodie. Now, if it's a really fast-paced match, you're probably not going to have time for a stacking item like Warlocks or Book of Thoth, and you can go straight into a pin item and then go straight into Rod 2. This is like a really quick match, is happening. You don't have time for a stacking item, and then you go into the high-powered, high-valued item that is the Soul Reaver. This will maximize your burst potential. With a passive, the enemies take 15% of their maximum HP as additional damage. This is huge for VULCAN. This is maximizing overall your damage. And then you can, of course, sell your starter item mid to late game whenever you feel like it's not necessary, and then pick up whatever other flavor item you really want to. Whatever the case may be, like let's say if you need more penetration because the enemy team has a tanky lineup, or if you're just looking for more power, you can go into the Bancroft's Talon, or you can still go into Book of Thoth as like a really late game item, because the way the passive works, it works off a percentage of your total mana. So let's say you're level 20, you're gonna have a lot of mana, and that 3% is a very large. So the Book of Thoth, you can get away with that building all the stacks because it's not really stack dependent, it's more of your base mana dependent. And since we have Soul Reaver, that works really well with the Book of Thoth, since this gives plus 300 mana. Now this is pretty much like the core for Vulcan. The Vulcan build doesn't really deviate between game modes. Now obviously, like something like Arena or Assault, where stacking items isn't really that great, you pretty much fill that slot with the Bancroft's Talon if you really want to. So let's say we're building an Arena, you can go to your boots first, and you can go into the Bancroft's Talon, or if you want to go the cooldown reduction item first, then you can go into that, and then Bancroft's Talon, you can go something like that, just something with a lot of magical power to maximize your burst potential. And then you can go into Pin, and then the Ratuti, and then the Soul Reaver. This would be something like maybe like Arena, Assault, something like that. Definitely for like Arena, you probably want to get your Ratuti and Soul Reaver early, like 4th or 5th item area, because they're just so expensive, and Arena is a very fast paced match. It doesn't really extend that long. As far as actives, nothing really too special. You can go to the combat blink, since Vulcan has obviously no escapes. This will help you get out of things. If you are going to pick up Aegis, be careful when you're using it, because sometimes it just makes you a sitting duck, and the enemies are just waiting for the Aegis to wear out, and they just kill you. So be careful with the Aegis on how that kind of works out. If you're looking for maximum damage, you can go into one of these girdles, just increasing your overall magical power and or penetration, depending on which one you get. You just kind of pop something like this, you pop it, do your ultimate. If it lands on somebody, they're pretty much just dead at that point. On the topic of Assault, Salvation, obviously. Salvation can also work against a enemy team lineup that has executions like Thanatos and or Ao Kuang. If the enemy team has both of them, then Salvation, you can get a lot of use out of it. So let's say you're at the execute range, and you know Thanatos is flying trying to kill you. You can pop this, get your HP back, and then he won't be able to execute you. He can still land on you, and probably maybe still kill you after that, but at least he won't execute you. So that's how that would work. And then of course, Purification Beads, you can never go wrong with Purification Beads, breaking you out of CC and also making you immune to CCs. And also at max rank, this also reduces your cooldowns by 3 seconds, so you can use that pretty well if you really want to. So that pretty much wraps it up for the build video today, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace. Thanks so much for watching.